Welcome back to Meg's Mysteries. This story is called Queenie from Queens. As Danny departs from the plane at JFK International Airport, his first trip to New York, he's very excited to meet his new friend. Christina is waiting to greet him. They never met in person, but on the YouTube channel they both have. They have a special interest in common ghost hunting and all that is supernatural. They share their unique gifts with all who are into the same and who do believe by showing how they see, speak, and help many spirits and get their stories, sometimes allowing them to move on. Through tarot card readings, special equipment, and their special gifts, they help many, the living and the dead. Hi, Danny. I'm Christina. So glad to finally meet you in person. How was the flight? Danny smiles and greets her. The plane ride was very interesting. A spirit was on the plane and kept me company by telling me her tale. She was a 1960s stewardess for the airline. She had died at home, but she was so dedicated she had to stay on the plane. She had to keep her shift and she never left. We had a wonderful chat. Christina said, "Wow, you do contact them everywhere, don't you? What was her story? And did she move on?" Danny laughed and said, "Oh, she didn't die on the plane, but at home. But she found her spirit back on the plane. She didn't want to miss her shift, so she showed up at work and never left. She did complain, though. The service nowadays is not like it used to be. Everyone's in a rush, and there's no more personal service, and the food is terrible. But she didn't want to leave. She loved the job so much. So I am glad I chose Blue Spirit Airlines. It was the best trip ever." They both laughed. Christina said, "This is starting to be a great adventure, and we'll see many spirits and strange things. Ozone Park is known to have many haunts." Danny said, "Let's get to it. I can't wait." After getting Danny settled into a nice old hotel near her home, they both went to dinner at her favorite local Italian restaurant, also known to be haunted by the first owner. He stayed around to make sure all the recipes are up to standard and everything he started was kept up to his traditions. Danny tells Christina, "Some spirits just can't let go." She said, "Marco is one of them. He doesn't let his family have peace until everything is just right. But he's not harmful, and they don't even know he's around, just that some strange things happen sometimes. He told me he adds some special ingredients to the sauce, and he oversees every dish that comes out of the kitchen." Then Marco came to the table and said, in broken English, "Hello, Katrina. Who's your friend?" "He can see me too?" Danny said, "Pleasure to meet you. The food is wonderful." Then Marco said, "Try the house Chianti. It's the family recipe dating back to my grandfather and his father." So after the meal was over, they thanked Marco and they said they will be back. It was just wonderful. Then they decided to meet the next day and go see what they can see by just walking around. They found an old cemetery and church Christina wanted to check out. It was not too far from where the old Cross Bay movie theater used to be, on the corner of Rockaway and Woodhaven Boulevard. That had been reported to have some activity around the old theater, but now it's closed and converted into real retail buildings. The old theater from the 1920s seated 1,425 at the time and was a popular place for people to go and see a movie or a show that took them to another place. After all the work and worries of the world, people need escape for a while and they need the entertainment. Danny and Christina also stopped by some more churches and bars that were on every corner. Danny joked, "Bars and churches and funeral homes on the same block? I feel at home." Christina said, "That's New York for you." When they got to Cross Bay Theater area, they both felt someone was watching them, not just a regular crowd of rushing people going to and fro. New York always has people rushing somewhere. This was different. Then a tap on Danny's shoulder and a nice surprise. A beautiful young woman dressed in the fashions of the 1920s. Hi, you can see me, right? Hi, I'm Queenie of Queens. And then she smiled. Both Danny and Christina saw her plainly. Yes, we can see and hear you. Queenie says, well, it's about time someone sees me. I've been waiting around since 1925 on this corner. And you two are the first to see me. Everyone just goes right through me. Christina then said, how can we help you? You can tell us your story if you want. Queenie says, okay, but it's a doozy. It was 1925, and I was a dancer in the chorus line. Back in the day, we had speakeasies, and I was the entertainment at the famous Eddie's Speakeasy. It was Monday, and my day off. My boyfriend, Tony, took me to the Monday matinee here at the Cross Bay Theater. The movie was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, starring John Barrymore, a dreamboat if you ever saw him, and co-star Nina Naldi. I wanted to see this. I loved a good horror film. We got our tickets right here, and she pointed to the spot by the door by the building. After the movie, we'll go to Pop's Soda Shop across the street. And she pointed, and we saw little shops and a faded sign on the building. Pop's Soda Shop. Then she said, they make the best egg cream around. Then she saw a puzzled look on Danny's face. What, you never had an egg cream? It's the best ever. Chocolate syrup, milk, and seltzer. Christina, you gotta get one for Danny. They must still have them, don't they? Christina said, yeah, they have them in Brooklyn at Ray's Candy Store. Also at the Brooklyn Pharmacy and Soda Fountain. I'll take them later. But please get back to your story, if you please. Well, here it goes, Queenie continued. We got our tickets and we were waiting to get in. A crowd started to form around the door, all waiting, too, for the movie. Then all of a sudden somebody comes up to Tony, a shady character. I saw him before at the speakeasy, but I didn't know him. Tony gets a strange look on his face. Then the guy pulls a gun out. He says, this one's for Mabel. I guess Tony must have messed with his gal. Who knows? But then, bam, I was hit and down before you know it. I was looking down at my dead body. Not a pretty sight, let me tell you. Tony ran like the rat that he was, and he left me to die. The guy followed him into the crowd. He was never caught, and I don't know if he ever caught up with Tony. Then I checked around the papers, and nothing was ever said. Only a girl died in a random shooting at the Cross Bay Theater, and that was me. I was stuck here waiting to finally tell my story to somebody. I walked around here for all those years. I saw the theater in the heyday until it closed on June 23rd, 2005. So many people came here to get away from their daily life and from great movies and entertainment. I always slipped in with them. I did have my paid ticket. But now it's gone, and Pop's Soda Shop is gone. It's now a boutique, and the old neighborhood is gone. Time moves on, and I'm still here waiting. But now you know my story. Danny and Christina said, maybe it's time to move on. And then she smiled and thanked them. But before Queenie moved on, Danny said a prayer. And then Queenie gave him a kiss and said, as she opened her purse, here's a dime for you two. You go get a nice egg cream. Promise you'll try one for me. The dime was a 1919D Mercury dime, worth now about 25,000. And then she was gone. Danny looked at the dime. He knew about the worth of it, a 1919D Mercury. She had it in her purse all those years. Danny said, boy, we can get a lot of egg creams with this and have money left over. This was some adventure, wasn't it, Christine? I'm glad got to move on. Maybe some of her movie idols are waiting to greet her in person, Christina said. If Tony's around, he better be careful. Girls can hold a grudge. Christina laughed, but I think he wound up in a harder place. Danny and Christina got a first-hand ghost experience, and many more will be waiting around the corners in Queens, New York. I hope you liked that story. Come back for more on Meg's Mysteries. Also, check out these channels: Christina and Son Ghost Squad, also Chasing Bones Inspectors, and Danny Wolf's channel. These two channels are wonderful, and I know you'll enjoy them as much as I do. You all have a good evening. Come back for more. Until next time.